rehearsal.
Yes. Live. There we're back.
For the dress rehearsal, everybody.
Take two.
Yeah, take two. Man, everybody, we were on a roll, and you should have heard what we were saying. It was great.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, it was not broadcasting. So I just rebooted the program on this end, and we are going now. We are live. Thank you for the heads up on that, Callie.
Yeah, thanks for the catch, Callie.
Yes.
It was a good run through. It was a good 20-minute run through. So we're okay. We're all right. So everybody, we get to do this again, which is the best part. Thank you for joining us on the award-winning Cards and Stars, our Silver Award up there. We received silver acknowledgments for a Visionary Award from the Coalition of Visionary Resources for what we do 4 times a year. It's just not enough time for you ladies. It's really not. So I am Amber Highland, and I am the executive editor and publisher of the Cartomancer. And 4 times a year, I'm joined by the amazing Pamela Bell, and the Astro Girl herself, Nicole Garcia. And we chat about the prevailing astrological and astral energies of the upcoming season, the season that we are in. And not just talk about what's there and just leave it for you to just there. You know, we talk about things, we discuss what's going on, we try to give them practical application, real world application, and then help us empower everybody, right? So that we can utilize these, then use them for ourselves, or how we have a better understanding of everything and the people around us and how we go through all of that, handle that in our lives. Yesterday we had the summer solstice. I can't believe it, 6 months. And today we have the strawberry full moon. And I'm going to say, Pamela brought up the fact that this will not happen again for 38 years. So Pamela and I will be mid-90-ish, early mid-90-ish. But mark your calendars, schedule alert. You know, by then I think people have chips or something. You know, so schedule your right earlobe to vibrate.
Let me remind myself that far ahead.
Reminder for 38 years. We'll be back with Cards and Stars talking about that, and sucking on Werther's candies or something. I don't know.
I'll be drinking margaritas. You can have the Werthers.
So, Pamela, could you please quickly introduce yourself to our wonderful viewers?
Okay, yes, I am Pamela. Pamela's Intuitive Heart on YouTube and TikTok, and I am a tarot reader, and I also a psychic medium, but I mostly love tarot to be used as its original purpose, which is for self-discovery and development, which is also the reason I fell in love with astrology, because it was very validating. It's like, oh, that's why I feel that way, or that's why that's happening, and why certain things are activated. So for me, it's like a cheat code, but not a cheat code, because we can all use these tips and tricks and support each other through any question that you have for tarot, or peek at your birth chart and see what's going on in the skies as either a heads up or as a celebration. Either way.
Excellent. And Nicole, could you please tell us about yourself, your divine self?
Well, as stated, I'm Nicole Garceau, an astrologer, and I love creating educational products for adults as well as kids, help people get a better understanding and learn the language of astrology. I love publishing, making games, and doing all sorts of things like that to help the process of understanding astrology along.
Award-winning.
And there's my award-winning deck. First of many things to come.
Yes.
And Yeah, I love astrology because it helps you get a better understanding of yourself, a deeper understanding of yourself, and help you evolve into the potential that you can be. And it helps you get a better understanding of other people and understand them and put yourself in their shoes better because you understand their, for lack of a better word, psychological process, which is ultimately the birth chart.
Yeah. Yes. And kicking it off.
That's a nutshell. That's just people in a nutshell.
Kicking it off, we have today the Capricorn full moon. And then we get the luck of having another Capricorn full moon towards the end of the Cancer zodiac. So Nicole, what can you tell us about this wonderful doubling of the Capricorn full moon we have?
Well, this full moon will have a beginning. Ultimately, full moons are a culmination period, right? Something has to be acknowledged, ended, or adjusted. But it's at the very beginning of a sign. So as much as you have to acknowledge the things, you got to initiate something as well, like something new begins. And it's also in a trine to Pluto. Trine is this most harmonious aspect. It's 120 degrees to Pluto. Pluto in Aquarius, which is retrograde right now. So there's this change. So there's this element of change. There's this intensity to it. There's this empowerment feel to it. So whatever it is that's culminated, that's been illuminated, it's going to tie in to oh shoot, I just found out what it is for me. Anyhow.
You see the light bulb? Woo!
And it works perfectly for 3 months, for 1 month. It's in my 5th house of friends. And so what happened was that, okay, I just got to share this. So what happens is that yesterday, I just happened to have a chat with somebody I haven't met before. I keep applying for this job. So anyways, lo and behold, I just happened to talk with the superintendent there today. I'm like, I'm surprised so-and-so didn't get hired. What's her name? Da-da-da-da-da. So the culmination, Capricorn in my house of friends. And so the hiring process takes about a month. I betcha she gets hired in a month. Because then there's that culmination period.
Right.
Yep. I love that.
Yeah.
I just thought of that now. And this is up in our mishap either.
It's so magical for people. It's just it's a potent time this next 30 days.
Yeah. So what you're starting now, my friends.
Oh, it is.
So then what you're starting now is going to culminate.
Yeah, so there's this
30
initiation
days.
period. Something's going to happen. Yeah, that initiates. There's a culmination period, something that illuminates, like my story that just happened. So something illuminated, something popped up, and check where it is in your chart. For me, it's my 5th house of friends, also children, creative ideas, all that kind of stuff, new business. So then it ties into the end of the chart, which is at 29 degrees, where we're going to have that next full moon. Now that next full moon is in aspect to Neptune, which is a 60 degree, which we call a sextile. It's a harmonious aspect. And so there's that intuition, that hopeful, that spiritual, that bliss to it too, right? But in between those two full moons, Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn stations to go retrograde. Neptune will station to go retrograde as well. So there's this very Capricorn Piscean energy to it. Like there's the work, there's the dreams, like we were saying before. Like you're gonna get all these downloads. One way this can manifest ideas and spiritual downloads, insights, and whatever, and you're just downloading. Okay, and then you're trying to put the pieces of the puzzles together. It's like a puzzle box, and then like, okay, what do I do with all this? Now you got to put them in order, and that's the challenge with Saturn and Pisces, is trying to create form within the formless. So.
Yeah, and I think we chat a little bit too about how I was seeing that having that Pisces energy around right now, I think is important, because Pisces is, all about the feels and the dreams, the intuition. I think it helps us. We're in a time where there can be a lot of self-reflection. We're kind of drawn into that. We can almost put the spotlight too heavily on ourselves. So it's like, don't be overly self-critical. Remember to give yourself a pat on the back for where you are and what you have come from. You think about what you might have been going through 6 months ago, and you're still here. You might be a little battered, but you're still here. So give yourself credit for what you've done, whether it's been, personal work, internal work, professional work. And I've been doing, giving yourself credit for getting through those, what it might seem like tougher times or challenges 6 months ago, because this next 30 days, it's almost going to feel like an opening. You're going to be able to start seeing better, a little bit more clearly, get a little more guidance on where to go, what your path is, and what direction, what step to take. So,
and it's going back to what you're saying, Amber, about the importance of that Piscean thing, because Saturn's and Capricorn energy is very rigid. It's very to the point. It's very, okay, these are the rules and you must follow them. And then and where the formless part in that situation comes is the compassion, empathy of, oh, we just blipped there. Did you see? Did that happen on your end?
Okay. You're blipping.
So, so you have the Pisces energy. Okay, we're all
sprinkling.
Nicole's streaming in from Canada, so we can't. She got stopped at the border.
And it's like you can't always just be strict and rigid and stuff like that. There's you need that compassion, you need that empathy to have a more of a broader sense of understanding of everything. And so it can't always be black and white. There has to be some gray.
Right. And I think that's part of what Pisces does, yes. But I think just having that beautiful, the sun in Cancer right now with all that nurturing that Cancer does, because Cancer reminds us to pay attention to the world around us and not be so blinded into our own box, into our own interpretation of something. So Pamela, what do you got for us for the full moon, my dear?
Card for the full moon. Let's see what comes up again, because we did this once. Oh, it's good. It's so good. It's one of my favorite friggin' cards for this. It's the Tower, baby.
Oh, man. Talk about transformation. Whoosh.
I love me a Tower moment, because I know everybody realizes, everybody knows that the Tower can be, it is, sudden and dramatic, and it can be alarming. Yes. But remember, this is practical. We're under the Capricorn energy. So this is the other interpretation of the Tower is.
Yeah, she froze on us.
Tack. Are you back? Okay, so the Tower, I don't know where I stopped, but this is very important. The Tower aspect, especially in Capricorn energy, is a choice to dismantle one or more areas of your life that need stripped down to the rafters, strip it down to the studs, and start over. Rebuild it, elevated, rebuild it, upgraded, like make it better. And it's a choice, especially underneath the Capricorn full moon. So, but it is not any less dramatic or stunning. It might shock the people around you that this change that you want to make. So I feel like it's a good thing, especially aspected underneath a Capricorn moon. Let's see what the most positive energy that you will receive from that. Yeah, leadership. You're stepping up and taking charge of your own life. You're stepping up and taking charge of this project, this change. What do you want? Whatever aspect of your life this is in your chart. So you got to look that up, where you're going to take charge and lead a new direction. So that's the positive part of it, because you're taking your power back. And the thing about leadership is you're leading from the front. So you're setting an example. You are being the change you want to see in the world, because that's what we can do. We got to do it right here first.
And I think that's a beautiful Pisces thing too.
It is Pisces. Yeah, definitely. Now the challenges that present, I love this. It's belief. This is the I'm possible card. So as a challenge, it's a challenge to your belief. Like am I worthy? Can I do this? Is this possible? So just because it's a challenge, just because it might be hard, does not mean that you will not win. It's just going to rear its ugly little head, and you're going to say, shut up. It is possible. I can do this. And use some of that beautiful Pisces energy to dream and know that anything is possible. Because if you dream so big you can't even possibly fathom it, and the universe gives you a fraction of that, you'll still be happy. Okay. So it's all about flipping that script of that disbelief or not thinking it's possible. So being challenged by that with the power of the tower, it is a drastic change. So whatever you're feeling in your gut when I say that, when I'm talking about that big change that scares you, it's something you have been wanting to do. I know it. It's something you've been wanting to change. I'm getting the goosebumps. So it's time to do it. It's time to do it now. And you get 30 days. You can just start it now. And then by the next full moon in Capricorn, it's going to blow your mind what you have achieved. And it can be something big for you. It doesn't have to be big for the rest of the world. It's not like you're building a pyramid. It can be something of a very big change in your personal life. Capricorn, earth energy, your human existence. So I'm excited for that. That is a good full moon.
Yeah, and I kept feeling like, reminding people, being grounded from the root of your soul, right? And that's the keys. So it is. It's an exciting time. It's definitely this next 30 days. I'm looking forward to it. And I can't say that for everything the past year, but this 30 days, I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of energy. Well, I did a whole series for every zodiac on my channel recently this week on your comeback. I just got inspired. Like, what area of your life, each zodiac sign, what area of your life needs a comeback? What is that bubbling up in you? Because I was feeling that same energy for myself. Like, ooh, this is my comeback. This is, because 6 months ago can bite me because it was not fun, but I'm getting back and I'm feeling a comeback. So it felt that energy coming for all of the signs. And so that's why it feels exciting, that it feels like it's the ball or the wheel is starting to gain momentum. So get in time with it, roll with it for sure.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's important. And, I want us to talk just, kind of briefly about, we know we've got some retrogrades coming up, and I don't want people to just cower and hide from the retrograde energy. No matter, I don't care if it's Mercury or Saturn or I don't care. Just don't cower from it. Realize that wherever that's happening, it's just going, a little more slowly through a particular sign, and you can channel and harness all of that, those amazing positive aspects of that sign more readily, because that planet is taking its little time going through there and kind of amplifying some of those characteristics. So what Nicole, what do you feel about retrogrades?
Well, they're a perfect time for, taking a step back of whatever it is. And Saturn retrograde, people love that one. Blockages are removed, or not as rigid, not as tough. But that being said, you know what I mean? The greatest sense of accomplishments come through hard work too, right? So Saturn direct is just as important as it is retrograde. But let's talk about the most common one, Mercury coming up, even though we're skipping a few things happening. I think that date is August 5th. You're right. August 5th.
I was right.
So August 4th, she stations. August 5th, she goes retrograde. So when any planet stations to go retrograde or direct, the planet is close to the Earth. So its energies at its most potent, right? So, and I've done a video on that for Mercury retrograde, because it just gets so much doom and gloom, because it's the most common series that happens years 3-4 times a year, depending on where it falls. And but yeah, it's just like you look at Mercury ruled things like batteries, cell phones, electronics, vehicles and stuff like that. Like, we're constantly refueling these things, right? So when Mercury goes retrograde, it's time to go inwards, give your mind a break, You know what I mean? Start writing down, like channel that through. It goes the lungs. It's time to take a breath and recharge. You know, you can't be all systems go all the time. So
Right.
it's yeah, it's a perfect opportunity to review things, dot your I's, cross your T's. Um, Editors and writers are famous for having Mercury retrograde because that's what they do.
Yeah,
But you
we don't
have
mind them so much.
Jupiter conjunct Mercury in the sun in the third house. So you know, that has word witch all over it.
It does. The card that comes up for that Mercury retrograde is the Two of Wands. And I love the Two of Wands as a choice, choosing wisely what or who deserves your precious time and energy. It's choice, choosing where to put your precious time and energy, because your time and energy is finite in this body. So it's a time to be more selective of what gets that attention. So I love that. And then we again, this card is coming up again. Leadership, taking charge.
Wow.
Taking charge of your life, what needs attention in Mercury retrograde. Which I love Mercury retrograde for all the RE words. It's time to reflect. It is time to rest. It is time to reassess and just take charge. And it's also about setting the example, because leaders lead from the front and they bring others with them. So this is a way,
And look
especially.
at that card. It has a royal. I look at that card and it has like a royal feel to it.
Isn't it gorgeous?
Yeah, because funny enough, and I didn't mention it, that Mercury goes retrograde from Virgo into Leo.
Leo.
Yeah, very regal signs. Leo is regal.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I would.
I love
So we've got Saturn retrograde in Pisces on June 29th.
Yeah.
And then the Mercury retrograde we're just talking about August 5th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it stations the 4th and officially direct to the 5th.
Right. And then we have the Neptune retrograde on July 2nd.
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
That's coming up.
And then, of course, we know that Pluto is still in retrograde.
It is. Yeah. It's still in retrograde.
Forever. Forever.
All those outer planets, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So let's talk about let's look a little bit more into that Neptune retrograde, because I think Neptune kind of being, a little bit of a watery planet. How do you feel that is going to, and I'm picking that one because that's happening over like a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we need to pay attention to. At least in the States, it's a holiday weekend.
Us too. Like us is July 1st, and for you guys, it's July 4th.
Yeah. So I just think when we have, kind of like a major astrological event happening, how it's going to, and when we have these joint, collective celebrations happening, how can that affect what people see or witness, in the crowds they might be around, or the sales, the malls, or whatever.
Well, I would be okay. Given it's obviously the celebration weekends comes alcohol, and Neptune rules alcohol, so it's you got to be very cautious to not overdo things, because don't forget we also have a Capricorn full moon happening there that'll be aspecting that. So there's and full moons is for those that are just being introduced to astrology, it's when the sun and the moon are opposite each other. And so you can get this push-pull, right? So it's the will versus the emotions, at odds together, but they can also work together, right? So it's like we were talking in the, take one session about, the sun and the moon being opposite. They reflect off each other. They're in harmony. Like the positive integration of that is harmony in the relationship. Like, Cancer is the home. Capricorn is work. So blend them together, work from home. They meet in the middle. It's about meeting in the middle and creating balance. So you got to be mindful of not being too much on the one side versus the other, because with that comes, the abuse of alcohol. You got to be mindful of the drinking and driving and doing stupid things that you can't take back. You know what I mean? Creating victims, because it's a very victim, minded thing. But, there's nothing to say that you have fun without alcohol, right? So, go by the beach, enjoy the waters. And don't forget to tap into, keep that compassion and empathy, because, when it's stationing and turning retrograde, like the magnification of that Piscean energy, because don't forget it's at the very, very end of the sign. So, and it's especially known to bring out, the victimization of things, right? Like it really heightens that, the downside of Pisces at times. But if we're working consciously with that, we can, not forgetting, and alcohol can do this, right? So just be mindful when you're out, nothing to say to just have a couple, don't have too many, don't overdo it. And then, so like that, you can still keep your head about you, and not, that's what I just worry about. You know what I mean? All that night, that Neptune influence during, and it's a great thing you pointed that out during the holiday weekends.
Yeah, I love how the card you pulled out before this, Pam, was a Two of Wands, because the twos, right? That's that balance. It's that midway point, and you have the choice on how you're going to act. So yeah.
As Nicole was talking and I was thinking about Neptune in retrograde, I pulled the Two of Pentacles. So that's another two. And it's the perfect card to what she was saying, because Pentacles, for those who don't know, Pentacles is all about the practical human life. This is your home, your health, your wealth. It's earthly things. And it's a two. So it's making the good choices and decisions, balancing out all of those aspects, not overdoing, finding that middle point. So it was exactly what Nicole was saying. So twos, making good choices, because a two is a choice or decision in numerology. So it's going to be about making good decisions, keeping things balanced, seeing what deserves your time with the wands. It's what deserves my energy. And so
I was remembering victims and stuff like that. I was wondering why was I remembering that? I just took a look at my book and see where the planets were at. It's going to be an aspect in trine to Mercury in Cancer. So Mercury rules vehicles, right? So just and tap into that Capricorn energy. Plan ahead. You know what I mean? Okay, we're going to go celebrate. Who's driving? Who's, this is the positive way of, what I mean, working with this energy that's coming up. Is just plan those things, cover your bases and all these things, and then you're working with that energy, right? Don't leave it to the four blast. No, don't wing it. Don't wing it. And be real. Be real. Because don't say, I'll be fine, I'll do this, and no, don't kid yourself. Just plan your weekends, plan it out, who's doing what, when, where, what, and how we get home here, what are we doing there, and what's going to be happening there, and you'll be fine.
If you're entertaining, take their keys. I have done that before.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm taking it.
And that's authoritarian, right? That's Saturn energy. That's Capricorn energy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Take care of each other, for sure. That's Cancer. Take care of each other. And Piscean.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think too, is after that, as we were talking about, being careful, we have Mars joining with Uranus, and that's like mid-July, like around the 15th.
That is, when was that? Was that August? No, July. August is the square, right? Yeah, July.
Mars, the planet of war.
Yeah, mid-July, 17.
Okay. Okay. One of the things that you had mentioned earlier, when that joining happens, is that, and also because we have, it has to do with Mother Earth as well, that it's a prime time for accidents or major,
Yeah, it's a classic
events, major
indicator.
storms and things. So
Yeah, it really is, and you just got to be mindful of, like what do these archetypes embody? Suddenly doing things, impulse, spontaneous, and also you got to look at the other side of things. If you're upset, rageful, rushed, I mean, you just got to be really mindful with that energy, because it's a prime accident energy. Not always, but it really sudden rage, like all these kinds of things. And I'll share a story on this one. Is that one time I was so busy, I was like doing readings like crazy that time, and I've learned to slow down a bit. So what ended up happening was that I haven't even been looking at my chart. So I was done my day. So, and then my son was 3 years old. And I said, oh, why don't we go for a float down the river? And I remember the day, it was August 26th. So what in Fernie, where I used to live at the time, you'd float down the river. It was beautiful. And the river was at its lowest point that I've seen it. So it was really hot. It was August. So it was at its lowest point. Everything was nice and beautiful. Then right before we arrive home, and there's this little islandish area where people usually dock off and come up the steps, and then they get a ride to the other point of the river and get their vehicles and stuff like that. So people dock off right in front of where we were in our condo. So we come around the thing, but this woman is trying to say something. I'm like, what is she doing? And obviously the river, you can't hear, right? But it was so noisy. So what's been happening was that stupid current was taking people off to the side, instead over to the island where people would dock off. So a lot of people were tumbling over because there was a deadfall right ahead. I'm like, oh, great. We're falling right for the deadfall. And I'm not a good swimmer, and that's a deep area. So but because the river was down, I was able to stand up. Now, back up to the beginning of that float, my gut feeling told me, and I always wear a life jacket because I'm not a great swimmer, said, don't wear your life jacket. And I was like, that's weird. You can always wear my life jacket. I decided to listen to it. So I left, I'm like thinking, okay, what harm can be done, whatever. So I didn't put on my life jacket, but Brody had his. And then we flight down. So had I had my life jacket, I would have not been able to hold on to Brody. So because we tumbled over and I was holding him. And I was like, oh my God, the current was so strong. And I tried to lift him up. And it's like, I'm thinking all this whole time, oh, Brody's underwater, Brody's underwater, Brody's under. And I lift him up and he's like, because he was holding. Yeah. Wow. Wow. It was something. And then, so then the neighbors were there just watching, trying to figure out what happened. And and it wasn't like, it was right under to like right above my belly button, below my breasts. And I was like, man, that was force. I said, I got to get behind this deadfall to relieve some of this pressure. I go over, oh my God, it pushed me down. And I'm like, okay, I got to walk across somehow. And then I'm talking nice and softly, not to make Brody panic. And he's trying to figure out, like, okay, this is not good, but mom's calm. Or appears to be, right? Yeah. And then, anyways, long story short, I figured out I had to walk on an angle, walk with the current across to be able to get the other side. And I had to dig my feet in glacier water, by the way. And so we get up. I'm like, what the heck was going on in my chart? Mars was stationing retrograde square my Uranus.
There it is.
And I was like, wow. Mars, Uranus, hard angles, squares, or conjunctions. And there's one of the astrologers that I work with and stuff like that. He's like a master and researcher and all that kind of stuff. He creates astrology programs. He's a genius. So, and he's been doing a lot of research on stuff. So I sent him all my information on that. And then he's yeah, because it's crazy how Mars Uranus in hard aspects creates these accidents. But they don't
Right.
create them. You know what I mean? Like if you get that feeling, take that back.
There.
Yeah. So if you feel so spontaneous, if someone like, oh, I'm in a rush and whatever, you know what? Hey, you know, whatever, or something simple as when you're driving, hey, that cut me off. You know, don't try to like, just let it out. What's the big deal letting him get it? Because you can get into a fender bender just that easy by engaging in that.
Right.
Right.
Anger, that rage,
that energy. Right.
Yeah.
I think,
or diffuse. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the important things that this can happen, yes, being careful about and mindful about what we're doing and those around us during that time. But you touched on that really interesting point, and I think it's important for people, especially in this day and age, to realize that this is a time where wildfires can happen, flash floods, heat waves. I mean, just volcanic activity can increase. So if
that's what I was saying earlier,
you live in areas that are prone to those storms, you might want to amp up your preparedness a little bit. And if you don't live in areas where those type of things tend to prevail seasonally, pay a little bit more attention and just, be prepared to be prepared. So
now the reason why it's even more amped this time is because it's also on the fixed star Algol, and that's Medusa's head. Right. So there's two sides to there. She's a beautiful maiden, but she's also the gargoyle.
I'm looking at that card Pamela's got.
And the reason why Amber has been saying, like the wildfires, that because it's in the sign of Taurus that rules Mother Gaia. Right. So, and then, with Mars activating Uranus or Uranus activating Mars, they're just fused together. Right. So that's fires because of lightning. That's a heat wave, a dry spell, a drought, all these kinds of things. Volcanic activity, because things work in an axis, right? So we got that Scorpio energy as well.
Yep. So that's July 17 you were talking about. Neptune, Mars and Neptune.
Mars and Uranus,
Mars and Uranus.
Thank you. The card I pulled for that is the Strength card. And this card is all about taming the beast, taming that primal side of yourself. Now, that primal
and Mars
side,
is very primal.
Mars is very primal, but the thing that people forget about taming the beast, it's not dead. It's metered. It's still there. It's still strong, and you can respond. It's about learning to respond versus just react, because accidents can happen. If you pop off and didn't take, there's power. I love this phrase from the horse world. There's power in the pause. Pause for a second. So the Strength card is perfect representation of what people should remember if that starts to happen about mid-July is pause, tame that response. We love that mama bear. She's supposed to be in there. That primal warrior is supposed to be there, but we have to keep her tempered with our enlightened side, our higher self, so that we can work again together and respond instead of, you can lash out and really hurt somebody or hurt yourself, especially in a motor vehicle. Road rage is ridiculous, in my opinion. Well, I'm like, if you want to go, just go. I'll let you go.
On a positive side, it's also, sudden enlightenment, right?
Yes. Right.
Because sudden awakening. And, because Uranus is enlightenment, it's awakening. It's humanitarian as well.
Yeah. And for those meek of us, the people that are meek, that Strength card is telling you to bring up your power a little bit. Do not be a doormat. Do not let somebody, push you around. So it has both sides. If you tend to be a hothead, it's time to cool off. If you tend to be a doormat, man up or woman up or whatever that phrase you want to put into that, just bring it up a little bit, but in a balanced manner. Very, very important to be balanced about it.
Well, that's a great point even to piggyback on too, is that I like the way you pointed out that if you're meek, to bring it up, because Mars is also courage. And you'd be amazed how some people, they see an opportunity to do something humanitarian, but they're too shy.
Yeah.
And they don't do it, and they keep it, and then they beat themselves. Oh, why didn't I just, then whatever it was.
Yeah.
And that gives you the courage to go humanitarian.
Or the nice young lady who gets a creepy feeling about some dude and doesn't listen to it because we've been trained to be nice, and something bad happens. That is the other side of that. Like, that meekness did not serve you in that situation.
Right.
Their feelings don't matter. If your gut is saying, bring up that inner warrior, warriors, whatever word there, go ahead and do that. But in a more balanced, you're balancing out the situation. So if the situation needs diffused, diffuse it. If the situation needs a little bit of fire, fan the flame a little bit, metaphorically speaking. So yeah, I love that balance point.
Yeah,
that is
mindfulness and temperance, right?
Yeah. Yes. Temperance, alchemy.
Yeah.
Now, also, like, there's going to be that Pluto energy that's going to be aspecting that too, right? Because Pluto is retrograding out of Capricorn. I mean, out of Aquarius and into Capricorn in the later degrees of Capricorn, which is also an Earth sign. So hence that volcanic, activity, but also and it touches on what you're saying about that instinct, that feeling of this. That's that Pluto energy lending its hand to that.
Okay.
To that aspect.
Listen to your guts, my people.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so have we touched? Oh, wait. I'm just making sure we touched on the major astrological points that we want.
Jupiter, Saturn is a big one.
Oh, Jupiter, Saturn. Okay, here we go. All right, before, yeah, okay.
I literally cannot say Jupiter without going Jupiter. Bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a big one this year too, right? So
yeah, planet expansion.
And the reason why, the reason why it's big is because, again, we're getting this Capricorn Saturn energy to it, right?
Yeah.
So it ties in, and why, by the way, is because it ties in. This Jupiter Saturn square is an ongoing story of a cycle that started on the winter solstice of 2020. So Jupiter and Saturn were aligned and fused together, which was called, at the time, you remember the headlines, the Star of Bethlehem.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, and that happened on the winter solstice.
Mm-hmm.
So now Jupiter's had pulled away and it's been, and so now it's square.
Come on. Okay.
And so whenever square happens, there's an aspect of change. Something, there has to be something happening there. And Capricorn. So on a collective level, this has to do with being patriotic, home, family, emotions, nurturing, protection, because it's the mom that protects, the mama bear energy, right? Mm-hmm. So now let's go back to what's happened for the States as well as Canada. We had the January 6th, and we also had the truckers convoy that was happening. Mm-hmm. And right. These are, and that Saturn energy, so that Jupiter Saturn conjunction, put light to things that were going on with both of our governments, and Saturn rules governments. Mm-hmm. California energy rules governments. So now we're at a point where change needs to occur. And it's for the sake of our countries, and so you're going to be seeing some of these policies that are going to come up, and they're going to be at odds with each other. You think of it when you look at a square. Think of pulling up to a four-way stop. It's not as easy to see because you have to work with this energy. So in order to move forward from that intersection, you have to look both ways to see if other cars are coming. Mm-hmm. And that's how you have to work with the square. You have to consciously work with that energy on the side. So, and Jupiter is very optimistic energy. It's very truthful. It's very philosophical.
I got you.
Yes. And Saturn's very rigid, very authoritative. It lays down the hammer, lays down the law. Right? It has rules and regulation, whereas Jupiter is more of like an open border type of policy, right? Likes to travel, likes to go abroad. It likes the bigger picture. So and it's the interpretation of the law, and Saturn decides on what the law is, right? So you got the lawyer versus the judge. So that ongoing story of what's been happening during that time, comes to its head, and it's again, like, that squares for the sake of. So this is what we say, like, when it comes to an aspect, it's a square, Jupiter Saturn square for the sake of, and it's a Cancer type square, meaning it's the opening square, so it's the first 90 degrees. And so it has this Cancer feel to it. So it's like, so we say, for the sake of our emotions, for the sake of nurturing, for the sake of caring, for the sake of our countries, for the sake of being patriotic. So all these changes that will be occurring throughout the summer, I expect a lot of different policies that, that are trying to happen, or maybe I wouldn't be surprised if there's more protests and strikes.
Yeah. I no pressure. I have messages saying that that the three of us are very inspiring tonight. So thank you for that. And Jamie is in here giving us award-winning greetings. So Pamela,
yes,
what have you got for us for this?
Like, I almost need to grab a different deck. That one is just not it. So I'm going to grab a different deck. That one said no. So for that,
it's funny because you know what I picture? I picture Saturn like a square. You know what I mean? Like a solid square. And then when you guys are going like this, that's what made me create this vision just now. The Saturn's just trying to. Jupiter's just trying to burst open and expand, because it expands everything it touches, right?
Yeah, like right, exactly. The whole Jack and Walk. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, exactly. That's perfect. That's absolutely
all right,
perfect.
Jupiter. All right, Jupiter and Saturn. Woo, we have the Five of Swords.
Ooh.
So this is coming across a couple ways. This sounds
serious.
It's not though. It's like,
okay,
this is how it's coming across for me intuitively. This is like, people are going to be worried. There's going to be anxiety. There's going to be stress. That it's going to shift the status quo. Because fives are shifts. Disruption or shift. So it's going to be disruptive in our thoughts. There is going to be worries and anxieties, but I feel it's going to be a positive shift forward for change, which I'm pretty sure, I don't care where any of us are on any type of political spectrum, I am fairly certain every one of us watching can agree there needs to be some changes. So I think everybody can agree on that one, right?
And the truth will come out. It will, because Jupiter's in Gemini.
Yes, and this is the beauty of the Chariot, because the story, for the people who don't know, the story of the Chariot is the chariot driver, you, us, the collective, is managing without reins. There's no reins. He is not attached to these horses. The dark horse represents the chaos, the wild child. The white horse represents the higher self, the noble steed. And you, us, the collective, are managing both of these. Scoot over so I can see myself. Both of these energies for balance, for forward movement and victory. It is a win when, and this is so important, when people come together, even from opposites, because it's not you against me, it's us, my friends, against them. I hope that makes sense to people without getting too political. Okay, because when people come together from the opposites, we can win.
Yeah.
We can do this because we need both sides. I love different perspectives. I don't have to agree with them, but I want to hear them. I want to hear them because
that's how we grow.
I only know my box. So I need to hear other people's boxes or ideas. So I think that there is going to be obviously some worry with that Five of Swords, but it is going to shift us forward into not to good change that has to happen. A win for the people. I'm going to say it that way. A win for the people.
Well, that's Pluto in Aquarius, right? So power,
good.
Power going to the people.
Yeah.
Well, it is, right? And eventually everything over the course of the 20-year transit, everything will be egalitarian. versus top down. But the thing is, you just expressed the perfect embodiment of Aquarian. And then Aquarian is about being individual whilst your individual self, maintaining your individuality within a group, within a collective, and working towards the common cause. And that's Aquarius energy at its finest.
Yeah. So it feels good to me, even though it's going to be, it could be interpreted as uncomfortable. It still feels like a good thing to me. Like this is happening for a reason. So yay.
Well, it's kind of like the birthing process, right? Like it's painful, but then, the baby comes out and it's a new chapter.
And you forget all the pain. You forget. It's a gift. Thank goodness.
You really do. It's crazy. It's crazy because how do you do it? You do it all over again.
And then you do it again. But yeah, you forget because the process was worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can't not do the process. The body is going to do it whether you are. I can't do it when they say them in the movies. I'm like, you have no choice, honey. The body's doing it without you. Anyways.
Yeah. And you know what? That's what the collective energy is all about, right?
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Are you like, it's going to be more painful if you try to resist it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and it's like by having these conversations and trying to understand trying to understand their perspective. And like you said, don't have to agree with whatever, but just, have those conversations, understand. And then, and then it eases that process into change, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
and we got so excited talking about the so when is this happening?
When is what happening?
When is this baby coming?
Jupiter Saturn is what is that?
Yes, Jupiter Saturn.
That I believe that was August 21st.
Okay. August is going to be lit.
Well, you know what? It's starting to ease off because when we've been starting these cards and stars, what's been going on is that we had all these planets retrograding together. So we were calling the summer's retrograde season. So now they're starting to move away from each other, overlap.
Yeah.
Jamie says Leo season is lit.
That's right, Jamie. I'm not arguing with a Leo.
That's funny.
So what are our main themes do we feel that we're telling people about? I think that we have it's that mindfulness.
Be truthful.
That balance.
Because
the balance
Piscean is lies, smokes and mirrors, and deceit and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
Just surrender. Surrender. Oh, let's see the card.
Oh, I know this one.
My friends, my people, this is the overall energy for what we've been talking about is change, transformation. This is a death card. Now, death card in tarot doesn't have anything to do with death, like what you think of it. It's change. So, but something has to die. A way of thinking has to die for you to transform that thinking into something else. So in a way there is, a death, but it's not physical death. It is change and transformation. And it is a major arcana. Therefore, it is a big change, a big experience, very impactful. So this is an impactful transition season, or this solstice season, this next 3 months we're talking about. It's going to be very impactful, very much be willing. And what I'm hearing, Spirit is saying, you have to be willing to embrace the change. And then it will be more comfortable by staying grounded with a lot of the things we've been talking about, staying grounded, finding that balance, pausing. If you're feeling activated, thinking things through, make a plan. But big changes, this card, it's red. There's a lot of red in this card. That is very passionate. So it feels like a positive change, but also it feels like birth, because of the red, like blood. So it's going to be passionate, but beautiful at the same time. Because look at how gorgeous that is. Because we can get a lot of, right? Yeah, it's gorgeous. Absolutely. So change does, even though it can be painful, is still going to be beautiful. So just be willing to make the changes and embrace the changes. And a big one is allowing, and this is hard for us, is for a lot of us, is allowing those around you to change as well. Quit telling them, if somebody is trying to change and do better, stop telling them their old story. Stop being in the crab pot. How do you keep crabs in a pot? How do you keep more than one crab in a pot? You keep crabs in a pot by putting more than one, because when one tries to crawl out, the friend pulls them down. When one tries to pull out, the other one pulls them down. So don't be a crab. Don't be a crab. That's a Cancer reference for those of you that know the zodiac, by the way.
Well, yeah, and Saturn's a very power.
About the blood. The blood is life giving, as you know, and I think that's, some of that change, that transformation, those pains, those hurts that we may experience. Remember that it is life giving.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's like Saturn, like that. It's a power planet, right? So there's and with that, all this Piscean energy, like Neptune retrograde, Saturn in Pisces retrograding, and these full moons, this aspecting. There's power in surrendering. And that's putting even more emphasis on that theme. So
Yep. And I try to, I will tell a quick little story. One of the best phrases I ever taught my husband, and I had a friend that taught me something similar, is when you're going through something and your people around you, they think, God, did I do something wrong? No, it's not you. So I taught my husband the phrase trigger stacking. And it's a horse phrase. It's like the straw that breaks the camel's back. Like, I'm worried about this. This person cut me off. This happened. I have a headache. I have cramps. There's like all these little things. And so I wear it on my face. And so then your spouse or the people around you might like, God, did I do something? No, so share with people around you. Like, no, come up with a code word within your family if you need to. Mine is trigger stacking with my husband. My friend Rochelle, she always says, do you have mental space for me to, I need to dump something? And do you have the mental capacity as far as emotionally? And I can say, yes, give it to me. Or I can say, no, I can't handle anymore right now. So this is a way we can help each other, knowing that when we're going through internal changes, it's not always about you outside. So we have to I feel like just a big need to tell everybody, give each other some space to make these changes and learn ways to work with each other, that you can just share space without taking it personal or trying to fix it, trying to control it.
And to finish it off on a positive note on the astrological side, is that for not so much collective but individual, this is very much manifesting energy that's going on too.
Yeah.
So with all this Capricorn and Piscean energy, it's like, the process of surrendering and all that kind of stuff. Very much manifesting energy. So you can manifest your desires, your goals, your dreams.
Yep. And remember to, give yourself some credit for where you are and what you've done, what you have done to get here. So it's important. Give yourself those pats on the back. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge your friends. Telling your friend they're doing a great job doesn't cost you anything.
Absolutely.
A lot more of love, please.
Yeah, lots of love. Okay, Pamela, as we are winding up, can you give us one last message?
I thought death was great. We have even better.
No, we want one more.
You got it, babe. That's the Emperor. Emperor, take charge. Have a clear goal. This is probably Capricorn energy. It's actually Taurus, Venus, Taurus, Libra energy. So be grounded in your goal and take action to go after it. What do you want to work on? Focus on it. Do not be distracted, and take personal responsibility for it. And don't get distracted is especially important, because the Emperor, when he's building his kingdom, or she, because this is a masculine energy, it is not gender. We all have all of the energies. So when you're channeling that masculine energy, it is just more focused, straight line thinking, not getting distracted. Because men focus, male energy, masculine energy focuses. Women, feminine energy, we can do 5 things at once. So this card is saying it's time to focus clearly on the goal. Focus on what you want your life to look like tomorrow, next week, 3 months from now, at the next full moon. So just got to write it down. And this would be take practical steps too, and get fired up about it. Get excited about what you're building, whatever that is. Small, big, little. It's not for others to measure. It is for you.
That's right. That's right. I want to thank you, ladies, so much for joining us in this discussion tonight. I learned so much. I do every time, Nicole. So thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you, ladies.
And Pamela, your ability to tap in and connect with spirit so strongly is greatly admired and appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you for giving us the venue.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And remember, folks, if you don't catch our next one in the fall, then come back here in 38 years.
Yes.
Well, we'll be talking about the
summer solstice and the solstice. The babies born today. Think of the babies born today. If this is their birthday, and when they turn 30.
Oh, yes.
Oh my goodness. They're going to turn 38 and do this again. That's amazing. I'm excited for them.
Brilliant.
Yeah, think of the birth chart they have for their life.
That's what I'm thinking. She's doing it in her head right now. She's making the birth chart.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
Jamie says, see you in 38 years. All right, Jamie, you're on.
I love it.
Ladies, thank you again so much. I want to thank everybody for catching us live and, of course, on the replay. And we will be here for the fall equinox, your Silver Visionary Award winning show, Cards and Stars. And we look forward to seeing everybody then. Take care.
Bye.
Everybody.